Welcome back. This week, I am going to show you how to make this adorable peppermint table runner. And you guys, there's flange binding on here. If you've never heard of that or made it before, I'm going to warn you now, it's a little bit addictive. It is so cute with that little extra pop of print. You could do a solid color if you wanted. The possibilities are really endless, and it was very simple to make. So watch this video and I'm going to show you how to make the runner. Be sure you head to the description where the pattern is linked, where I give you all the dimensions and everything you need in the pattern, and then we're going to make this together. We are going to start by making the half square triangles first. So you're going to take your two larger pieces of fabric, lay them right sides together, and then we're going to draw a simple X. To do this, grab your ruler and a fabric marking pen of any kind. You're doing this on the back side, so I'm just using a fine line marking pen. I just need to be able to see these lines for my sewing. So just draw from one corner to the other and then turn it around and then do the same thing. So you should make an X right down the middle of your fabric. Next, we're going to go to the sewing machine and we are going to sew 1/4 inch away from each side of both of the lines. So I'm using a 1/4 inch presser foot here, so it's very easy for me to know exactly where to stitch. So I'm just sewing along the line 1/4 inch away, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the same thing on both sides of this line. Next, we're going to cut this apart. So you're going to cut down the two lines that you drew, but you're also going to cut down the middle and of both sides of it. So you're cutting it in 8 pieces right now. It's typically easier to do this with a rotating cutting mat, but I did not grab mine before I did this, so bear with me. Now I'm going to press all of these open. So you're just going to bring them over to your ironing board and press them open, and then we're going to trim them down to the correct size. And for trimming, I love to use the block lock ruler. This one is my favorite. There are a few different ones out there. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just want to trim them down to make sure that they are all the right size. Once you get them all trimmed, it's time to start sewing. Next, we're going to take our half square triangles and our pink squares, and we're going to lay the pink square on the outside edges of all of our half square triangles. Again, make sure your right sides are together here. So you want them to be on the outside. I like to lay out all of mine so I can visually see them so that I don't mess up when I'm sewing them, because I've done that more than once. So don't feel bad if you do, because we all do it. Now you're just going to sew from one corner to the other corner. So you're just sewing a diagonal line right down the middle of that pink square. You're going to do that for all of these, and then we're going to start putting our blocks together. Next, we're going to head back to the cutting mat and we're going to trim these all down. So you need to trim along that line you just sewed, but you want to make sure that you leave 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Now, I like to do this little trick where I line them all up and I'm using my cutting mat and my ruler to make sure all the lines are in the same spot. This is just a quick little trick to trim them all faster, but you can do one at a time, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm just laying my ruler down so that I can see right through the ruler that I have 1/2 inch seam allowance, sorry, 1/4 inch seam allowance. You could do half if you want to. I like to do 1/4. So then those are our scrap pieces. We'll set those aside for something fun to make later. And now these are ready to press open and then sew together. Once they're trimmed, you just fold that pink triangle up towards the outside edge and then you press. And look at how cute these blocks are going to be. They look like miniature kites right now, but we're going to put them together and make the cutest little peppermint blocks. Now, I always like to make double sure that I have these all laid out properly before I start sewing. So I lay out all of the squares to make sure that they're in the right order, that my block looks right, and then I'm going to start sewing. So I'm going to sew the top 2 together and then the bottom 2. I've put all of mine in this little pile so I can chain piece. Again, you can do this whichever way you want. Just make sure you're sewing them so your pink triangles are on the outside edges for all of these. So I'm sewing the top 2 pieces together first, and then I'll go to the bottom stack and I'll sew those 2 pieces together. Then I press them open, and then I'll sew those 2 rows together. Now that all the squares are sewn together, now we can take the 2 rows that we have created. Make sure you match up those center seams. Sometimes it helps to put a pin through the middle seam just to help line everything up. You can do this if you want to, if it helps you match your seams. Otherwise, nesting your seams works really well also. So here you're going to just work through your stack until you have sewn all the pieces together and you have all 6 of your blocks. All right, now it's time to start putting things together. So you're going to take your strip pieces that you cut according to the directions in the pattern, and you're going to sew them alongside each of the blocks. And you're just going to keep alternating a strip of fabric and then a block, a strip of fabric and then a block, so that you have them alternating throughout the entire middle of your table runner. Once you're done with all that, then you want to take it over to your ironing board and press all your seams down so that it lays nice and flat, especially this helps when you're doing your quilting and you're putting it all together. So give it a good press, and then we're going to start with the other pieces. Next, we're going to make our corner blocks. So we're going to do this in a similar way. So lay your pieces right sides together and draw a line again through the middle. And here we're making 2 half square triangles at a time, where last time we made 8 at a time. You can do this any method that you want to. And then again, we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch away from each side of that line that we just drew. And then we're going to simply cut them in half. And that will give us 2 of each of these half square triangles. And just as a reminder, the pattern is linked in the description of this video, where you'll get all of the measurements and all of the instructions step by step as well, so that you know what colors to match up and where you're putting everything and what sizes they all need to be. I'm trimming them the same way I did the other half square triangles, just lining them up on my cutting mat, using my ruler as a guide to not only hold the pieces down, but also make sure my lines are straight and I'm cutting them in the right spot. Give them a good press open before you do your trimming, if that's the method that you're using. There are other rulers out there that you can use that require you to leave it folded first and then you trim and then you press them open. So that is totally up to you, whichever method you like better. I'm still using the block lock. That is I feel like with this ruler, I get the best results. I feel like it is the most accurate, and it's so easy to do. Like, it literally locks into place so that your ruler doesn't slip around and move on you. That's why I love these block lock rulers so much, and that's why they're the only ones I use now for trimming half square triangles. Before we start sewing these pieces together, I am again going to lay them all out to make sure that I have them in the order that I want them, so I don't make any mistakes while I'm sewing. And we're going to sew these together very similarly to the other block that we made. We're going to do the top 2 pieces and then the bottom 2 pieces, and then those will create little rows, and then we'll sew those rows together. Right now, when you sew those 2 rows together, you can use a pin if you want. I just place my seams together and I nest them by folding the seam allowance on the back over one way on one and the opposite way, and then they really nest together really well. Next, we're going to add these corner blocks to the top and the bottom pieces before we attach that to the top and the bottom of our runner that we've created so far. So add 1 to each end of the top strip and the bottom strip as well. Once you've sewn them together, give them a good press, and then you're going to pin them to the top and the bottom of the center of the runner that you created so far. Then you're just going to stitch along that edge, making sure you're using that 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I rolled mine up because it was so long, and I'm just unrolling as I go. And you're going to repeat this. You're going to just turn it around and repeat it for the other side so that both strips are sewn. Make sure you remove your pins and then give it a good press before we move on to the next. All right, now please forgive me. I forgot to film something. Do you see the ends, the snowman print? So you sew the 2 end pieces on, the shorter ends, and now again I'm sewing the top and the bottom snowman strips on, just like we did the 2 pink strips. So basically we're just creating a border. So we did the ends first, and now we're doing the top and the bottom, which are the longer pieces, which again, it's all laid out in the pattern for you. I just forgot to film that part. All right, next we're going to do a little quilting. So you take your quilt top, the batting, and your quilt back, and you sandwich them together, And then you can quilt whatever way you want to. You can do simple straight line quilting on your domestic machine. I was messing around using my long arm just for fun and doing some automated snowflakes. But I also love straight line quilting, especially with just diagonal lines, something simple with my home sewing machine as well. It's super fun. Then once you're done with your quilting and you're happy with that, you want to square everything up. So cut off the excess that you have and make sure you use a ruler and you're trimming. I like to use my quilt or my table runner top as a guide here. And I'm using the ruler and the rotary cutter to make sure I'm staying along those lines, keeping everything nice and straight, dropping stuff on the floor, you know how it goes. Now we're going to get to the binding. Now you're going to sew your binding strips together. I'm being extra fancy today and I am doing flange binding. You don't have to do this, but you can if you want, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So take your fabric and you sew your ends together just like you normally would for binding, okay? Sew all of them together to make one long strip that's the right size for your project. So lay it all out and then press all those seams down. And then you're going to take the two pieces, if you're doing flange binding, and you're going to sew them together along the long side of the strip. Your right sides of your fabric are together. One piece is wider than the other. That's how it's supposed to be. Don't worry. Just match up the raw edges on one side and then stitch all the way down until the two pieces are joined together. All right, then we're going to press this all open first. Then we're going to fold it. We're going to match up the raw edges so your wrong sides are together. And this is going to give you a little peek of that flange binding. So the one that's on the underside is sticking up just along the edge of those candy canes. I know you can't really see it in this diagram as I'm pressing here, but there it is. Like that, you just get that little peek. So you can do a solid, you can do a different print. I thought it would be super fun to just do the little bit of the stripe because it looks so cute around the edge of the quilt top. Sorry, I keep calling it a quilt because it kind of is, but it's a quilted table runner. So I'm going to get this all pressed nice and neat, and then we're going to attach it to our runner. Look at that. Oh, it's so cute. Now I'm using the method that I love for attaching binding, so I'm going to cut this at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to fold this down so you have no visible raw edges. Give that a good press with your iron, and then fold it in half, and that's the little pocket that we've created for our binding. Now lay that along the edge of your runner on the back side, open it up, and you're going to sew that down about, I don't know, 2-3 inches. It doesn't make a difference. Just open up your pocket, stitch it down to your runner, and then we're going to stop and we're going to fold it shut, and then we're going to sew it all the way around the edge, mitering all 4 of our corners. Okay, we're approaching our first corner. So when you get to the corner, when you get about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, I want you to stop, leave your needle in the down position, lift up your foot and pivot, and then sew off that corner, okay? That's going to give you a nice guideline for your miter. So then you fold it back on the diagonal and then fold it back down along the raw edge of the runner, and you want to make sure it's all folded nice and neat, and then you're going to stitch along that entire edge, and you're going to do the same thing on all 4 corners. So as you get to that corner, leave your needle down, pivot, sew off that edge, and then you're going to fold your binding back at a 45-degree angle, and then fold it down on top of itself, once again making sure your edges are lined up, everything is nice and neat. Just hold it in place, turn, put it under your needle, and then stitch again along that entire side. Repeat this for the other 2 corners, and I'm going to meet you back at the beginning of our pocket. All right, once you get back to where you started, cut off the excess, then open up that pocket and tuck in that end. There are no raw edges visible here. Everything is tucked in. Sew the rest of your binding to your runner. Trim off the dog ears. And now we're going to take it to our ironing board. I'm going to glue baste this because that's the method I love to use. But first what I do is I like to press out my binding. This helps it be straighter, more accurate, looks better. I think I get the best finish when I do it this way. So I press all the way around the edges, making sure I'm pressing on the binding. I'm not pressing in the corners at all. I'm just kind of letting them do their thing. Then I'm going to use my glue baste. This is Roxanne glue-based. It's tagged in the comments or down in the description for you. You just need a little bit of glue. This is not going to gum up your needle. It's not going to wreck your machine. You guys, I do this all the time. When you use your iron, after you use the glue, the iron will heat set it for you. So by the time you get over to your sewing machine, the glue is dry. So there's no gumming up anything. It works fantastically. So press along those edges to make sure everything is getting set, and you can tell it's heat set because it stays in place. So I do the top and the bottom first, and then I do the sides. That way I get nice clean miters in each of my corners, and they're all folded the same direction. So just flip it over, and you want to repeat this process all the way around until you have all of your binding folded over to the front side and everything is glued down in place. Now you can use pins or clips if you prefer. I just personally love the glue, and I get wonderful results every single time. All right, this is the last side. Now we're gonna do our top stitching, and this thing is all done, and it's so cute. I love the flange binding so much. So I'm just over at my sewing machine, and I am top stitching along the top edge, and I'm sewing in between the flange binding and the regular binding. So there's just a fine line where I am stitching. Now, I was having a little trouble because of the bulk. So I'm switching and putting my walking foot on here. And let me tell you, it makes such a difference. I was struggling with the regular foot, feeling like I had to force it through. You don't want to have to do that. So now I've got the walking foot on, and you can see I am just stitching right where the flange binding and the peppermint candy cane binding meets, so that that stitch is basically invisible on the top side. You can see it on the back side, but I'm using a white thread, so it looks like it's just part of the quilting. It looks great. Well, wasn't that a fun one? I just love this runner, and it is so versatile, so easy to make. And if you wanted, you could take these rows of peppermints and you could make an entire quilt if you wanted to. You could do so many different things with this. You could make matching placemats. It makes a great gift, especially if you make like matching placemats, matching pot holders. I've got something fun coming for you that I think you're gonna love to go along with this project. So be sure you hit that subscribe button and that you're following along. And if you missed last week's tutorial, watch this one right here.